later on became Saudi Arabia. That's a very interesting story. No one could ever cross his mind that the pharaohs set their feet on the Arab Peninsula. How did that happen? Why did that happen? And when did it happen? That are questions that are going to be raised in this segment. Mr. Bassam al-Shamaa, good morning.
Good morning to you, my dear.
A very good morning to you, sir. It seems that our foreign relations or our diplomatic ties were flourishing when it comes to our pharaonic era, and we were that keen to have diplomatic ties, to have foreign affairs, of course, far from being invaded or far from occupation. When it comes for occupation, we defended our country since the pharaonic era in the most successful way, and we regained our land since the pharaonic era. But when it comes to peaceful diplomatic ties, we were also on top. And what we are going to talk about today is such a good example on that. Would you please elaborate?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm enchanted to be here weekly with you so that we can discuss history out of the box. History which is not related to boring numbers and boring names. History is exciting. History is alive. The past is now. And the future of the past is Egypt. Egypt is not only a past that we talk about, but a past to help our present and inshallah to have a better future. That is the goal of studying history and telling history. That's number one. Number two, the biggest fun I'm having with history for the last 34 years is this, is relating what's happening today to what's happening in the past. Without being the judge of politics, I don't know what, that's another story. I am relating events because I remember the very first book I wrote that small called Egypt, the Civilization. And I wanted to address it, to title it, Egypt, Cradle of Civilization. And I was told by some friends from England, I thought, don't call it Cradle of Civilization, Mr. Bassam, call it Egypt, the Civilization. Being the uniqueness that Egypt is and was and inshallah will be always. Why, I ask, you don't want me to title my book Egypt, the Cradle? They said because the cradle means the origin, means the very first, the pioneering, and that we are not sure of because we have a civilization in Ur, Ur in Iraq. That is a good competition and a very big competitive element of history with us. Good competition, historical competition, intellectual competition, positive, good, beneficially competition. Ur could be older than us as a civilization. And of course, that will depend on your definition of what is civilization.
Yes.
Because some people will tell you civilization is where civis, originally the word, civis is. So you're always talking civil, civilian, citizen, city. Civic. And I totally disagree with that. Because I believe that civilizations did not start in cities. Civilization started in the very desert. In the heart of nothingness, in the heart of dryness and famine and starvation. That is when you prove you are a civilized person. Not when everything is ready for you, everything with buttons. I say when 2016 and the years before will be written in some 500, 1,000 years, this is not called civilization. We are not going to be called civilization 2006 in the world. Because everything is ready for you. Everything is so comfortable. Well, compare yourself with people who wanted, for example, to make a trade relationship with a faraway place. Talking far away meaning no airplanes, no helicopters, no choppers, no fast trains, no fast cars, no paved streets. Think about that, no paved streets, so you're always jumping up and down.
This is relative a way or another, because, you know, by the very first few decades of the 20th century, people thought the same way. After Addison did what he has done, and after the existentialists thought that we did everything and we cannot be more advanced than this. You know, they thought the same way. You know, with Fleming and penicillin, with Addison, and with James Watt, and, you know, stuff like that. They thought the same way. maybe after 100 years we are going to say the same. I mean, the coming generations are going to say about us like what we are now saying about Graham Bell and Addison and James Watt and
I was telling you something about this. Bear in mind, you are taking a journey, for example, to Ethiopia or Somalia in ancient times. The number of casualties that you will have on boats when you are sailing the sea, when you are sailing the river, air currents, no motorboats, no nothing. The number of casualties here, animals, attacks, lions eating you, all sorts of things like that you don't hear a lot about now. You can still hear about things, but not a lot. But what about Egypt, the pyramids, the obelisks, the sciences? And this to me is more important than the pyramids, the science of ancient Egypt, the inventions of ancient Egypt.
Yes.
What about this amazing nation with amazing mentalities, intellectualities of characters in ancient Egypt? And again, I'm not talking about kings, and I'm not talking about queens. I'm talking about us 4, 5, 6, 12, 16,000 years ago. But what about the relation with the other? Well, we had the first ambassador in the history of mankind with the name. We had the first discoverer of lands. We have a character in Nubia, an amazing man, amazing man. Why are we not giving Nubia and our South the greatest historical right? Everything, episodes. The magician of the South. The, I don't know, ambiguity of the South. It's always this business of the South being, now there is the biggest, I don't know what, of an episode working called The Magician of the South. It's always the South, something is not clear about. What? South wrote history, the South made history, the South invented science. Okay. So, I am introducing to you today one character with the name of one Herkhuf. Herkhuf, by the documents on his tomb, by the texts which is still alive till today, go and visit it in Aswan, and he is telling you that he went down to the beautiful south of Africa, to the African nations. We are talking maybe Sudan today, around this area. And we are talking old kingdoms, and we are talking middle kingdoms and new kingdoms. So we're talking about a good 3,000-4,000 and something years. A gentleman took some Egyptians, and he went and he found and he talked, and he actually wrote names of places and tribes in Africa, and he was titled, beside being the sailor and this and the friend of the king and so on, he was titled the boss, the chief of interpreters. The man talked African languages. The man knew what the African tribes were talking about. He made peace between tribes, he's telling us. So this is not Livingstone. This is not the Lake Albert. Why are you calling it Lake Albert? We are in Africa. There is no Albert in Africa. Right? Why are we not calling Herkhuf in places? Because he was the first man to go there. And he made more than one visit, not once. So he's telling us about the year so, the year so, the year so. And that gave me the idea that, oh yes, trade was important in those days. That's number one. Number two, we had a civilization here, beautiful, called the Maadi civilization. And this Maadi civilization, this is how it's called in English, M-A-A-D-I, Maadi civilization, Maadi culture. This Maadi culture was before the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. So before you invented writing, before you invented hieroglyphs, before you built pyramids, there were a number of Egyptian cultures which heated up the whole civilization for the ancient Egyptians to come and do what they did. So there is the very ancient Egyptians and the ancient Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians that you know about. The very ancient Egyptians are the before the unification of it. Maadi, they excavated in some of those we call them prehistoric. The prehistoric cultures in Egypt, we found women's cosmetics, accessories, and from women's accessories excavated in those prehistoric cultures, we understood the first trade relationship thousands of years ago between Egypt and Palestine.
Right. Are you trying, in other words, to trace the first steps that were taken by any pharaoh outside Egypt?
Before pharaohs even.
Before
Pharaoh was called Pharaoh or titled
So
Pharaoh.
we could never label them as pharaohs,
We will label them as ancient Egyptians.
ancient
To be
Egyptians.
historically correct.
But what is the story behind Ramses III
Right.
going to the Arab Peninsula? And how did it cross his mind back then, and why? Because when people hear about a king visiting a place like that, probably there was no life, no cultural life or civilization on that place. So why would it cross his mind to go over there? Is it for trade? For exchanging, cultural ties, or
Well
if
said.
you would like to collaborate on
A
that.
name of a king.
Elaborate, sorry.
Thank you. A name of a king carved anywhere doesn't mean that the king himself was there. So-and-so opened this hospital, but he did the big
Under his
president didn't have the
auspices
time
or
to go.
whatever, yeah.
So there will be the representative of the presidency and so on and so forth, as well known.
So they have the same scenarios. Like,
Yes, oh yes.
okay.
Very, very true.
No wonder.
Right? Very true.
It's a deeply rooted trend, it seems.
The cartouches of Ramesu the third. If we can start by the pictures that I brought you this morning, you will find the man with his cartouche is depicted on a mount in the Arab Peninsula in an oasis well known. This is the gentleman here, and I wanted to start by introducing the man that we found his cartouche in Arab Peninsula. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Ramesses III. And if Afaf, bless her, can bring us the cartouches, the royal names, to enlarge it, it would be great. Because once you are looking at the hieroglyphs, you will notice that there are some characters in his name which is pretty amazing. First of all, we have the character of Ma'at.
The goddess?
And we know Ma'at is the female deity, if you like, of
deity, okay. I'm
it's
sorry.
okay, it's okay. Of truth, order. Oh yes. Oh yes. Order, crucial. This lady, as a symbol in ancient Egypt, crucial. The Ramessides, you know that there were 11 Ramesses in ancient Egypt who ruled our country. 11 with the title Ramses. Ramesu. And you will notice Ma'at. You will notice the word Wusser. This is why you're always listening to me saying the name of Ramesses the second, the third has got this Usser, Ma'at, Ra. You're always going to hear this word in the names of this king.
What's Usser?
Wusser. Like a standard, like a stick, like a beam, and at the top there is a jackal head with erected ears. You're always going to find it depicted on the walls of Karnak and places like and in the Valley of the Kings. This is Wusser. So Wusser, Ma'at, Ra.
What does that signify or represent?
The order, the truth of Ra is strong. Strong is the truth of Ra. Ra is strong by the truth. You can put any of those meanings around.
Yeah.
As if he's trying to tell us through his title and through his name is that he is the man who's bringing order. He is the man, because remember, the ancient Egyptian king was the responsible person number uno for bringing justice and order to the cosmos. This is how they thought.
Yes.
So if there was no truth during your reign, during your rule, then you are no good. And that's why when the flooding didn't come, and the country started to suffer from famine and starvation and droughts and dryness, and people were dying and bones are coming out from the chest as it was depicted, then who to blame but the king? The deities are not happy with you. The deity of the flooding is not happy with you. Give more offerings. And that's when the high priests will collect more offerings.
Yes.
In the temple. So
Same scenarios.
One of the time. So Ramesses III has got the most exquisite temple called Medinat Habu. And once again, to those who did not visit Medinat Habu temple in the West Bank of Luxor, they did not visit temples. Forget for a minute Karnak temples. Forget for a minute my favorite temple, Luxor temple. Forget Abydos, out of this world, beautiful. Medinat Hadith. Ramesses III and others. Also, the man has got the most exquisite tomb in the Valley of the Kings. But to find his cartouche in Tabuk, in the governorate of Tabuk, Muhafzat Tabuk, in Arab Peninsula, today, Kingdom of Saudi, you'll be amazed. And now, thank you very much. So we can see the cartouches of the gentleman. On the right-hand side, can you see this triangle? It looks like a pyramid or a triangle at the top right.
And key of life?
And right under it is the Ankh.
Yeah.
The triangle in hieroglyphics is D. You pronounce it this way, D, D-I, D.
The
D
what,
is
sir?
D. This is how you pronounce it in hieroglyphs. The triangle at the top.
Okay.
It's pronounced D. D means offer.
Okay.
Give. Life given. Ankh. Ankh is verb to be in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. And it's not a key. But it was well known in the last, I don't know, few years, somebody came up with the business of it's the key of life. No, it's not a key of life. This is something that we keep on repeating. There is no key. This is not a key. This is the hieroglyphic word for to be.
Okay.
To be. Like Shakespeare when he said to be or not to. You can well say to ankh or not to ankh. That's the question.
Is it also a significance of existence or
I'm
life?
with you 150% to be life, alive, live, life. You know,
Vitality.
existence, vitality, something else, but life. Be more precise, life. Now, the hieroglyph, wow, this is beautiful. I'm impressed. Now we can see Wusr Ma'at. Ma'at is always this lady who's seated with a feather on her head or holding a feather on her, kind of attached to the knees. And then he is the beloved of Beri to the left. Wusr Ma'at Ra Beri Iman. He's the beloved of Iman. He is the beloved of the sun. Wow. Now, to the right-hand side of the cartouche is Ra Mes here, the begotten of Ra. Ra got him. Ra bore him. He was born by Ra.
Yep.
He's trying to tell us here he is the son of the sun.
Yeah.
He is S-O-N-S-U-N. He is the son of the sun. And then on the lower part, there is a kind of bent stick to the left of the right-hand side cartouche. That's Hika. Hika means ruler.
That one on the far right?
Like
That's what we
this
call the key of life,
Hika,
right?
no, in the cartouche, my dear.
Oh, yes.
Inside the
Okay,
cartouche,
inside
on the
the
lower
cartouche.
part, on the left, you'll find the stick which is bent at the top.
Okay.
That's Hika. Ramesses II in Ramseum temple, depicted on his shoulder of the 1,000 tons granite statue. Once again, 1,000 tons, one piece of granite. That's Ramesseum temple in the west bank of Luxor. He carved on his shoulder Hika Hiku.
And what's that?
Hika, we said ruler. Wu is the plural in hieroglyphs. Like the waw al-jama', like the waw of plural in Arabic. So Hika Hiku means ruler of rulers. Bassam Bassamu. You want to exaggerate more.
Yeah.
He is the man who smiles. He's Bassam, but he is also the smile of the smiles.
Okay.
So Bassam Bassamu. Hika Hiku. I'm trying to make it. So, to the right hand side of the stick is Un or Iyun. Here is the guy that you like.
Yeah.
Like. Un. Un is Matariya Ain Shams.
Is that the
Un.
guy that you like?
Iyuno. Matariya Ain Shams. This is because she likes Ham Iyuno. Right? So, he is the ruler of Heliopolis. See where he is? He's in Upper Egypt. But he's telling you that I'm the ruler of Heliopolis, up there in the north. Let's take a look at the coming picture. 2010 declaration in the Saudi Archaeological and Tourism Association that shocked the world. Definitely shocked me. What did the Saudi historians find? They went to an oasis called Tayma. Let's take a look at the coming picture, please. Right? Tayma, remember this name. Tayma is a name of an oasis. In Tabuk, where is Tabuk? Tabuk is, I'll make it easier for you. Cross Sinai, it's Tabuk on the other side. So Tabuk is the governorate in the Arab Peninsula of Saudi Kingdom today, which can be kind of allocated north and then go to the west a little bit, towards us, towards Sinai. That's Tabuk. So Tayma is not that far away. That's why my introduction was, what would you think if I was the king of Egypt and I gave you the commission of going, oh, go to China to fetch us silk. Oh dear, that's a long journey. Okay. But then go to Delta, fetch me some flowers. Okay, sir, Delta is not far away. Go to Tayma, where Madian was. All this place of Madian, the kingdom of Madian. And what was the kingdom of Madian doing at that time? Oh, Madian was brilliant. And that part of the nation and that part of the world was well known of 4 important things. One is gold, silver, copper, incense. Those are the 4 things that the Egyptians were after going to Tayma. So as a caravan...
But incense was also in Sudan.
And of course in the south as well. Thank you, yes.
I mean, they knew incense before they go to Madian.
They had more than one route, my dear. Just like today. You want, I don't know...
you go to Paris and you go to England.
Or you want to go to get fashion, you go to London, Italy, Paris, I don't know what. So, the Saudi active historians found this. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is changing it. This is rewriting history as we speak. On a mount. That is not a temple. That's not a tomb. That's not a sacred area by any kind. This is in the middle of the route. So now I can explain to you that those cartouches of Ramesses III, 1100s BC we are talking, 1100s BC we are talking, were the depictions of the people of the convoy, of the trade caravan, if you like. And once they are going from one step to the other, they will stay and drink water, rest a little bit, carve the name of the king. We were here. Just like your graffiti. We were here. I'm here. Bassam was here. 1920, I don't know what.
A kind of documentation.
Yeah, of course. And at the same time, it can help them coming back because you are in the desert. So it can be easily lost.
This is going to be my coming question regarding the geographic issue.
Yes.
How did they know how to go?
Exactly.
How did they know in the first place that there is a state or a civilization or people? You know, discovering the Arab Peninsula by then for me is like discovering Mars now.
Of course.
But before we continue, as we are covering the historical visit of the Saudi king to Egypt, which is going to last till Monday, inshallah, and he is going to visit Al-Azhar, and it's going to be the very first visit by a Saudi monarch to Al-Azhar. Do we have the phone on here? We are very much delighted to have with us Dr. Anas Abu Shadi, the President of Islamic Studies Department of Al-Azhar. A very good morning to you, sir. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
We were speaking about the historical visit of Saudi King Salman bin Abdul Aziz to Al-Azhar, which is going to take place 1 p.m. inshallah today. As far as we know, how do you see this historical visit?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, we are all the Al-Azhar doctors and students and workers in Jamiat Al-Azhar is very happy for this visit of King Salman ibn Abdul Aziz to Sheikh Al-Azhar and to Idarat Al-Azhar, which is a very important step in cooperation between the 2 big countries in the region and in a very sensitive and tight and important time. The region is full of many very serious events. And Egypt is the biggest country in the region, and also Saudi is the country of Al-Haramain Al-Sharifain. So the collaboration and this very important visit of King Salman ibn Abdulaziz to Egypt has its importance in the more important issue, which is laying down the basis for collaboration and making the moderate Islamic thought against the fanatics and the extreme groups in the region, which make the region full of troubles and difficulties and wars and bloodshed. So the cooperation between Al-Azhar and the Saudi institution, Saudi religious institution represented in the visit of King Salman today to Sheikh Al-Azhar is very, very important step and should be encouraged by everyone. And we say thank you for the King Salman for visiting Sheikh Al-Azhar. And we hope that this will extend to making basis for cooperation against the fanatic groups.
Right.
Also,
Dr. Abu Shadi, let me take it from here. Probably it would cross anybody's mind when they hear about this historical visit to Egypt, and in particular the historical visit to Al-Azhar by His Royal Highness King Salman bin Abdulaziz and meeting Sheikh Al-Tayyib, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar. Probably the first thing that would come to anybody's mind is renovating the religious discourse or delivering the right religious discourse to the whole world, especially that there has been a lot of misconception about the Wahhabi discourse and the Azhar discourse, and if there is a contradiction between both addressed to the world, especially after the incredible speech that was given by Grand Imam of Al-Azhar at the Bundestag in Germany. In your own perception, how is that going to be worked out? Because this is a very important issue.
That's why we say. That's why we are saying that this visit is very, very important, especially when we hear that King Salman will support making a new university in Sinai. And I wish this university will include a branch for Al-Azhar University, especially in Sinai, where the fanatic thoughts are present in Sinai and in every part of the Muslim world. So we have to find a way to defend the Muslim Ummah against these fanatic thoughts. Some branches
will you have to come to find to a common end,
no question.
Dr. Abu Shadi, Dr. Abu Shadi, please, can I come in here, please?
On the fanatic groups, so some sort of cooperation between the religious institution in Saudi and the Al-Azhar Sharif may be represented in making the new branch in Sinai, and may be a helping factor in opposing these fanatic thoughts. That's very
Abu Shadi, Dr. Abu Shadi, please.
That this new University of King Salman will include or will have another parallel university branch for Al-Azhar Sharif in Sinai.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abu Shadi, for your time talking to the Breakfast Show. Now back to you, Mr. Bassam Shamaa.
By the way, this
right.
you gave me some ideas. Some years ago here actually in one of the programs, we were between the radio of Egypt and the radio of Saudi. Now I remember that. I introduced, because that excavation we were talking about today, the cartouches of Ramses there, brought me an idea. I said, why are we not making a touristic tour? The culture, the historical background of the Arab Peninsula, Saudi and Egypt. And if we can tell the Egyptians, let's go to Taimat, let's go to an oasis in the middle of the desert. One, you will attract history lovers, because you're going to see something which is amazing. Two, you're going to attract geologists, people who are interested in the geology, nature, safari. And Taimat is well known in Saudi. The Taimat in Tabuk, the Taimat oasis. And there are more than the cartouches. We have depictions of animals, mountain goats, depictions right beside the cartouche. If finally we can take a look at another picture, you will find not far away from the cartouche one huge horned goat yes, thank you very much, on it. What I like, in a nutshell, what I like about this excavation is this. One, it proves that the Egyptians were discoverers. Two, it proved that we were not only interested in the south or in the Mediterranean or repelling the tribes coming from the west. We were making trade relationships with Asia thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
Four, it's a proof. It's a materialist, it's not a theory. It's a materialistic proof that I can stand on steady ground and in stability of history and say this is a fact of history. Five, gold was not only brought from the south. That's another rewriting of a chapter in history. Six, touristic, if people are now making deals of economy and I don't know what.
In what language?
In Saudi and Egyptians.
In what language?
Arabic. Saudi groups of tourists and Egyptian groups of tourists.
Okay,
this is what I'm not talking.
Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about the Egyptians going to Taimeh and Saudis also going to Taimeh and then going to Egypt afterwards. So pyramids and Taimeh, let's call it this way.
Probably what Nermin, from my own understanding, what she's trying to say is that the language back then at that time, and probably also what we could like to be knowing more about is the culture there. Was there
Languages
culture
between the
that
two cultures,
existed?
you mean?
Right. And the cultures there, was there any exchange in culture? Did that what you mean?
I love it.
Because I'm also curious to know that. And another thing, was there any religion or something that is related to any spirituality or something like that? Especially that we've been, later on, there was the concept of unification of one God, later on. So
the answer for your first question is on my first segment when I was telling you about Herkhuf of Nubia being the
This
chief
was the
of
interpreter regarding the languages of Africa. But have we had an institute, for example, to teach people or to teach specific people and to how to to be translators or stuff like
that? Used to bring the foreigners to the palace of the king.
Okay.
Foreign princes. You can talk to a kingdom of I don't know what. Bring your son and live with me in my palace. This son is going to grow up in the palace of the king, of the Egyptian king, having three things to do. One, of course, he will be taught about Egypt and the Egyptians and the language.
Okay.
Two, he will be telling the people about his own language. He's coming from the Hittites.
Yeah.
He's coming from the Mitannis. He's coming from the Phoenicians. He's coming from the Akkadians. He's coming from the south, the Nubian scripts. He's coming from the Meshwesh. Those are the tribes of Libya today.
Yeah.
So, yes, there were totally designed system of teaching people different languages, or else why are we having the interpreter of so and the interpreter of so? As a matter of fact, there were depicted scenes of the interpreter in temples and tombs and stuff when the interpreter is actually being in the middle of this business of talks. Captives of wars, look at this. I mean, a scene like that can bring you tourism, can bring you good business to tourists. And that's why I was thinking maybe when we were talking about with the respectable doctor of Al-Azhar, maybe Al-Azhar would like to do something like that. Maybe Al-Azhar can adopt this business of the ancient cultures. Of course, they will be responsible for the Islamic segment of that kind of unique kind of trade, if you like, culture exchange. And then we will be responsible for the ancient Egyptians.
Yes.
So the answer for your question, yes.
That's what I was trying to tell him. If they are open to discuss the differences and
this segment can be sent.
Points of agreement.
Yeah. If Al-Azhar is interested. And they are listening to us now.
That would be applied on other cultures and history and everything.
I'm talking.
But is it now the time is ripe for that? I know it's not the subject now.
But this is the perfect timing for that, my dear. No, this is the perfect timing. You're right. This is perfect time. Why? Because if the whole world now is looking at this visit, well, I'm making good benefit of it, tightening the relationships and so on.
At least to try to improve or to correct the image of Islam after what Daesh did in Tadmor. I'd like to call it Tadmor. The West is calling it Palmyra, but it's Tadmor. What they did there with just saying that they are Muslims and they have nothing to do with Islam. Islam did not say to destroy the civilization. You know, still till the moment you would find people who would say, no, statues in Islam are forbidden.
It was announced yesterday.
Stuff like that.
It was announced yesterday.
Exactly.
Benefit
That's the
yearly,
differences in religious schools.
Yearly around $200 million selling monuments.
Selling monuments,
Selling monuments. And that's what I told you here when they were destroying Tadmor and they were going to Mosul, and we all saw the museum of Mosul when it was destroyed.
Yeah.
And I said the destruction is on videos.
Yeah, it's
but
fake.
I am telling you something
fake.
else. I'm telling you that this destruction is to distract you in a direction, and they are selling all the statues on the other direction.
So the statues are safe?
The statues are safe, but in
in
the hands of somebody else.
Okay.
In the Hermitage.
Well, the same thing is happening here in Egypt
or in wherever. Yes.
Tel Aviv, I say.
Right, but it,
Amen to that, by the way. Yes.
the idea of being open to discuss the differences and accept the other, and exchange the points of agreement, and expel the differences. It's very important.
Bring the Minister of Tourism in Saudi.
Right,
today.
and especially that we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice.
This is
Right now, we have
my
to
ignorance.
change.
Is there a Minister of Tourism in Saudi Arabia?
The Association of Tourism.
Association, but it's
right.
and
right.
archaeology
There is a sector.
were
a sector,
responsible.
John.
Yeah.
They were responsible for that excavation, by the way. So I say bring them over and bring that particular picture, put it in a big, huge banner, bring a guy like me, talk for 1 hour that we talk now, bring the Minister of Tourism of
You would be the
Egypt.
best ambassadors to
No,
that.
thank you very much, my dear. And we will talk, and after this lecture I tell you, if the tourist companies in Egypt and in Saudi didn't create that, what I'm saying, Saudi Egypt or Pyramids Tayma, Ramesses III in Saudi, something attractive like that, and sell English and Arabic, but then answering your other big question of, yes, we can also make marketing for such tour,
Yeah.
and why not? And why not? And the Arab League can be responsible for that
Do you
as
think
well.
that there won't be any reservations on the other
What
side?
reservation, my dear? You take your car, you go to Saudi, from Saudi to Tayma, and from Tayma to Egypt. Thank you very much.
And with the bridge,
No
it's
visa,
going to be-
no nothing.
No, I mean,
With the bridge,
it's
it's going to be
principle,
easier even.
I hope they can just relax a little bit. And the officials trying to, what I'm trying to do is I'm putting on the table something that can bring you millions of dollars. In a time that you said, is that a perfect timing? Oh yes, my dear, because now I don't know what in Italy and I don't know what. Now they're going to stop
We
coming.
don't have a choice.
Yeah. So
We don't have
look
that
on
much luxury of a
Look
choice.
to the close. Why are we always, the first step to success is right here. Right here underneath your feet. Why are you always looking far away? Yes, we suffer, we made mistakes, I don't know what. Fine, deal with it politically, I don't care. The politics always mess up. I'm trying to tell you now how history can save you. How culture can
unite
recreate your economy.
It's among the agreements signed yesterday, by the way, cooperation in the cultural field. I hope that this is going to be included.
Just put that one cartouche of a king can bring you tourism back and can bring Saudi also a great
May I suggest the subject of the coming episode?
Please do.
When it comes to medicine in the Pharaonic era, I always remember an ad, medical threads, and they put on it the picture of Tutankhamun's. And they said, don't use these threads coming from that age and use ours today. The company which was producing the modern medical threads said that you are propagating for Tutankhamun. You're propagating for those threads made thousands of years ago from the intestines of cats, because you are saying that it's lasting till the moment and it's effective till the moment. So we are not propagating for our product, you are propagating for the Pharaoh's products. Can we speak a little bit about medicine?
Medicine is an amazing
and this
topic.
Edwin Smith issue?
We can talk about medicine from here
a broad spectrum.
until century 22.
Okay, let's divide it because we are now running out of time, but promise?
Promise, inshallah.